In today's video, we're going to jump back into talking about some NHL prospects. I'm going to tell you who I think are the top 10 NHL prospects for the upcoming 2018-19 season. So these are the top 10 players I think are most likely to not only make the NHL, but have a major impact on their team this season. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to this channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Now, as I mentioned off the top, we're jumping back into talking about some NHL prospects. Now, I wanted to kind of use today's video to launch a whole new series. So coming up here, starting today, moving forward over the next 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to be getting videos with an in-depth analysis on all 31 teams' top prospects. Now, I want to kick things off with a video today discussing who I think are the top overall top 10 prospects to make the NHL this season, have a major impact on their team, and therefore likely have a decent shot at winning the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. Now, of course, a couple quick disclaimers here. Keep in mind, there is a ton of great NHL prospects. I could probably sit here and talk all day with 20 or 30 or 40 guys who actually I think have a really good shot at making the NHL, at least in some capacity this season. There is a lot. There's players on your favorite teams that I don't mention here today. It doesn't mean that I don't like them. It doesn't mean that I'm not high on them or that I think they're going to have a great potential season coming up here. It just means that these are the guys I think are going to have the most impact on their NHL clubs this coming season. Now, as I mentioned, this is going to kick off a whole new series, so you can look forward to a video on every single NHL team. All 31 teams will be covered in this series, just like we did at the end of the regular season when we did an off-season plan for all 31 teams. Now we're jumping in to prospect pools and analyzing all 31 teams and taking a look at their top 5 to 10 prospects that are in the organization, including all of the 2018 draft picks that just took place here in the last couple of weeks. So we're going to analyze their 2018 draft. Plus, we're going to look at all the other guys that they have in the system here for the past couple seasons and kind of rank out who their top 5 to 10 prospects are within the organization and who's going to make the team this year or who's going to still be a year or two away from likely having that happen. So there's a whole new series here. I'm really excited about this. I hope you guys like it. So let's jump in here and I'll tell you who I think are the top 10 guys heading into the 18-19 season to make an impact as a rookie. Now, these guys are not ranked in any particular order here, so I'm not going to rank them 1 through 10. These are just the top 10 players that I think are going to make an impact here. So let's jump in here and get started with the Buffalo Sabres. Obviously, they've got defenseman Rasmus Dahlin. As we all know, Dahlin just went #1 overall in the 2018 NHL Draft. He's projected to be a generational type talent. He's a tremendous offensively gifted defenseman with a bit of a mean streak coming over from Sweden. He's definitely going to be playing in the NHL this year, 100%. Now, I do suspect his defensive game very well is going to likely need some work. A lot of these younger defensemen do take time to adapt to the NHL pro level game, so I don't expect his plus minus or his defensive stats to be fantastic this year, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him, maybe put up 40 to 45 points. But on the defensive side of the game, wouldn't be surprised to see him be at minus 20, 25 either. You just never know. Even look at players like an Erik Karlsson, who he does kind of remind people of a little bit. Now, just in case you're not familiar with Dahlin, he's kind of a bit of a mix. You take Erik Karlsson, Drew Doughty, and even like a little bit of Peter Forsberg for Swedish fans, and you kind of mix that all together. That's kind of what you get. He's got the offensive instincts and the hockey sense and the hockey IQ and the shot, the passing, all that, along with the mean streak. So you kind of get a bit of everything here. He has been a pretty decent defender at the other levels, but like I said, I would fully suspect he'll take some time here to develop his defensive game in the NHL. But still, he's definitely going to have a major impact this season. It's certainly going to be a fun player to watch. Now, his teammate, center Casey Mittelstadt, is very exciting as well. The Buffalo Sabres are very lucky here that they've got a couple of gems really jumping into their lineup this year. Obviously, Casey Mittelstadt made his NHL debut at the end of last year after ending his college career and signing his entry-level contract. He came over, got into a handful of games with the Sabres and was doing pretty well. Mittelstadt ended up putting up 5 points in 6 games, looked relatively comfortable. He's an excellent, dazzling playmaking center who can certainly score some goals as well. Great stick handler, great passer, has great vision. So I fully suspect he's going to have a major impact here, and I certainly would not be surprised to see him be one of the top guys gunning for the Calder Trophy. So we very well could see a Buffalo Sabre win that award this year, considering the level of talent they have in place that are going to be rookies this season. So some exciting things to happen for Buffalo, and hopefully they can finally move themselves out of the basement of the league and start working their way up the standings with some of these young kids they have jumping into their lineup. Now jumping over to another team who's going to have multiple young gun rookies jumping into their lineup as well, let's talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. Now the Hurricanes have 2 forwards jumping into their lineup this year who should have a major impact. Obviously, with the number 2 overall pick from the 2018 NHL Draft, we've got Andrei Svechnikov, who played last season in the Ontario Hockey League for the Barrie Colts, scoring 40 goals in a shortened season that was shortened due to injury. So he was close to scoring almost a goal per game. He's really a natural goal scorer, probably the best pure sniper in the 2018 NHL Draft as of right now. I really fully see him having a major impact on our Hurricanes next season. For sure, but he looks to be like a powerful winger who can score a lot of goals, so I fully suspect big things out of Andrei Svechnikov. Now he's going to be joined by the guy who just might be on his line here, might be his center iceman, and that's Martin Necas of the Czech Republic. Now, Necas was the 2017 first-round pick, number 12 overall by the Hurricanes last season. He's a right-shot center iceman. Had an excellent showing at the World Junior Championships this past Christmas. Played tremendously with another guy that's on this list, Filip Zadina, also from the Czech Republic, played for the Mooseheads this past year. Zadina and Necas played tremendous together, and really they were quite the dynamic duo. There was a lot of speculation that Carolina might actually go with Zadina over Svechnikov at the draft, which did not happen, and probably at this point, at least in their careers, looks to be the wise move, but I guess in a few years' time, we can look back on that and see if it really was. But there's no reason why Svechnikov and Necas can't play very well together as well. But he's a very strong playmaking center, great vision, good goal scorer, can put up lots of points as well. So I fully suspect both those 2 young forwards to have a major impact on the Carolina Hurricanes top 6 situation and be putting up lots of points and lots of offensive numbers. I would imagine the Hurricanes coaching staff will try to get them into the right matchup so they can take advantage and start putting out some better offensive numbers, but not have to worry too much about the defensive game here in their young careers. Now we're going to jump over to another first-round pick from 2017, number 5 overall, Vancouver Canucks forward Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson broke all kinds of records over in the SHL this past season in Sweden. He's a very gifted offensive player. Now he is known to be a little bit kind of lanky and thin. He's 6'3", but only around 165 pounds. So it certainly could use to add a little bit of weight to his frame. Certainly makes a lot of sense from that respect, looking at who they're going to be adding to their lineup, why they went and added the 4th line guys that they did, especially like a player like an Anton Roussel. As some of these younger players are going to need some reinforcements out there as well so they can focus on the offensive game. But obviously Pettersson is a dynamic offensive dynamo here. Great stick handling abilities, great hockey sense, great vision, really smart with the puck. So he, like I said, he's broken a lot of records over in Sweden, held by some pretty phenomenal guys that have had tremendous careers ahead of him. Like the records he was breaking were held by some great all-time players. So it goes to show at a young age just how strong he is. You throw him into a potential lineup, maybe playing with the guys like Bo Horvat, Brock Besser. That certainly makes things very interesting in Vancouver. Now, he has been known as a center iceman, but he can also play wing, and I would fully suspect he probably starts his NHL career on the wing as well. At least that's my guess. I mean, I've heard Jim Benning say before that they really like him down the middle to play center, but I wouldn't be surprised. I personally see him more as a winger at the NHL level, but really, wherever they see him best fitting will obviously be where they put him. At the very least, can see him lining up on the power play with guys like Besser and Horvat. The Canucks have a lot of things to be excited about for their future here. They get some great young forwards, and Pettersson just might be the best of the bunch. Now, another 2017 first-round draft pick, number 3 overall, Dallas Stars left-shot defenseman Miro Heiskanen. Now, obviously, Heiskanen is fully expected to make the Dallas Stars lineup this year. Obviously, his name's been brought up as the Stars are trying to acquire another top defenseman. You might have heard those rumors. I know we talked about it here before, so obviously you know what I'm talking about there. But obviously, he's projected to be a top paired defenseman for sure. I mean, at this point in time, it's hard to say for 100% if that's going to happen. At least to start off his career, he should probably be likely to be a bottom pair guy for a little while and work his way up the lineup. But obviously, Heiskanen is a tremendous defenseman here, expected to be a top pair kind of guy. The Dallas Stars felt very fortunate with their lottery selection, moving up to the number 3 slot in the 2017 NHL Draft to be able to draft this guy. So obviously, there's a reason why they want to hang on to him. I think down the road, especially if Klingberg 6, we could maybe see Heiskanen and Klingberg be their top pair D here in the near future if everything goes well for his development. Now, another young forward to keep your eyes open for is Nashville Predators star Eeli Tolvanen. Obviously, Tolvanen was playing in the KHL for Jokerit. Came over towards the end of last season. Got into a few games with the Predators. Didn't really have the greatest showing. Didn't put up any points in the games he played with Nashville. But I still believe that this guy has a lot of talent. He just needs some extra time here to kind of get his feet wet and get accustomed to the NHL game. Obviously, he put up fantastic numbers in the KHL while he was there. He's the highest scoring teenager in KHL history. So obviously that goes to show a lot. Playing against men and not junior age players was quite a showing for him. He's a very offensive player. I do fully suspect that he will have a big impact on the Predators this coming year. The only thing is since the Predators are such a deep team, he may not be able to have as big of a role as some of these other guys that we've talked about. So you might see his production not be quite as high. It's like a Svechnikov, for example, or a Zadina, or some of these other players that are going to have an opportunity to play higher up in their lineup. Because of how deep of a team he's going to be a part of here with the Nashville Predators organization. But still, he's a very offensively gifted forward. I do fully suspect him to get his offensive game going in 2018-19 and have a pretty good impact on the Nashville Predators organization. Now, another player that we've seen come into the end of last year was a college star in Ryan Donato with the Boston Bruins. Obviously, he was originally drafted back in 2014, but went to Harvard University, so it took a few extra years to make it to the NHL. When he was drafted, he went number 56 overall to Boston. Made his debut towards the end of last year and had some terrific numbers. He was really looking off to a hot start. Ryan Donato ended up putting up 9 points in 12 games. Didn't nearly get into the action during the playoffs, but had a great showing here at the end of the regular season. And really after they acquired Rick Nash at the deadline, it certainly had an impact on Donato's role, especially heading into the playoffs. But now that Nash isn't going to be returning to Boston, there was a lot of speculation they may try to add another top 6 type of forward. Personally, I would give Donato all the opportunity here. He looked very comfortable when he played. He fit in well with some other line mates. Put him and Jake DeBrusk on a line, maybe with David Krejci. I think that would be a very solid line. Donato certainly has the ability to score lots of goals. He's a pretty good passer as well. So I think he could actually be, if he plays like he did at the end of last year, there's no reason why Donato could not be in the running for the Calder Trophy if he's given the right opportunity to play with the right players, especially if he gets like a second line type of role with the Bruins this season, which I think would be the smart move instead of going to find another veteran, because there's really not much out there in the free agent market. They could potentially swing a trade, but a lot of the guys they'd probably like to trade out, like maybe a Krejci or a Backus or any of those guys that have been speculated before, have some form of a no trade clause that might be hard and tricky to do. So it's quite possible they may start the season with the lineup they have today. And if that's the case, I'm giving Ryan Donato every opportunity. Now, once again, we're going to talk about another 2017 first-round pick, the first draft pick ever in Vegas Golden Knights history, number 6 overall in 2017. Cody Glass of the Portland Winterhawks, WHL, had a tremendous offensively gifted season here, but he's not only an offensively gifted forward, but he's really worked hard at developing his two-way game, 200-foot player. He gets some comparisons to like a Mark Scheifele. I really think he can be that powerful type center iceman in the NHL. Obviously, I think he has a really good shot at making the Knights this year. Obviously, if you take a look at some of the players that have left town, like a David Perron and James Neal, that's going to create some openings. They did bring in a Paul Stastny, which will help fill some of that void. But based on their whole lineup, I don't see any reason why Glass can't get some playing time this year. You might even see one of his other fellow draftees, Nick Suzuki, get into the lineup as well. Now, Suzuki didn't make our list here today, but he's certainly another top prospect, and we're certainly going to discuss him further when we do the Vegas Golden Knights dedicated video. But Cody Glass is a tremendously gifted player. Like I said, he kind of reminds me of a young Mark Scheifele. I know Mark Scheifele is not an older player, but he's been around long enough now that he's really matured his game, and I think Cody Glass is kind of trajecting to be that similar type of player. And look how well he's turned out for the Winnipeg Jets. They have him on a great bargain contract. He's really proven to be like a modern version of a power forward who can be very responsible defensively as well. So if Glass turns out anything like Scheifele, then they've got themselves a real gem. So of course, Golden Knights also involved in trade talk, trying to acquire a star defenseman, as you know, in Erik Karlsson, and obviously it is not a wonder why this would be the asking point in return, and I don't blame them for wanting to give him up, but I don't blame the Ottawa for asking for him as well. I mean, he's really going to be a star in this league, I think. So it's no question, regardless of where he is, but right now he's a member of the Golden Knights. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere, and it looks like he'll be a star in Vegas for years to come. Now, last but not least, we're going to talk about Filip Zadina of the Detroit Red Wings. Now, obviously, with the Red Wings being where they're at with their team's development and the rebuild that they're going through, I fully suspect Filip Zadina to get every opportunity to make the team this year and have an impact. If you really look at their younger offensive players that he may end up playing with, guys like Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, I think he'll fit in quite nicely. And to be honest, I think he's going to go into the season with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He was projected to go to the number 3 or 4 spot in the draft, ended up falling down a few spots. Detroit had to grab him. It was fully suspected the Red Wings were going to select defenseman Quinn Hughes out of Michigan, but they could not pass up the opportunity to take Zadina on their team. Now, obviously, with teams ahead of them like Montreal and Ottawa and the Coyotes passing over him to go with other guys, I mean, it looks like he's really motivated to prove them wrong. I mean, there was even quoted him saying to his agent that if Montreal and Ottawa pass him over, that he'll get them back by filling their nets with pucks. I mean, obviously, he's going to be in the same division as those two teams, so he's going to be playing against them plenty. So I fully suspect he'll have an impact this year. Obviously, I don't know if he'll be quite as strong in his rookie year as some of these other players. Obviously, some of these other guys that we talked about were 2017 draft picks, so they've had an extra year to kind of develop and get some extra seasoning between either playing in Europe or in another year of Canadian junior hockey or college hockey. So I fully suspect that Zadina is going to have a fantastic year. I mean, I've seen him play when he played for the Mooseheads. He's a very gifted forward, very strong on the puck, has a great shot, great offensive abilities. So I really think he'll fit very well with that organization. He's pretty quick as well. Skating isn't his strongest suit, but he's fairly quick on his feet. So I think he'll be able to keep up well with Dylan Larkin, and I think those two should click pretty good if he's given an opportunity to play with him. But I fully suspect Filip Zadina to make the Wings this year and to be a top producing forward and be in the conversation for the Calder come year's end. I really think all of these guys we talked about today have a shot at being in the Calder conversation. Not to say that there won't be others. Like I said, there's every year going into the season, there's always a few rookies that kind of take you by surprise. Some ones you didn't think either would even make the NHL, or ones that you thought might make it but start slower. There's all kinds of fantastic prospects. That's why I want to dedicate a whole series of videos here going through each team, because I could do top 10s, I could do top 15s, top 20s, whatever. I could talk here all day long. And there's just so many great young NHL players that are been drafted and are developing and ready to take those next steps between this year and next. There's really there's already been a major youth movement in the NHL, and that's going to continue. Every time we do a prospect video talking about top 5, top 10, there's always a lot of comments, well, what about this guy? What about that guy? It's just hard when you're doing a list like this to get them all in. There's plenty of guys who we could probably flip-flop in. So leave some comments down below. If you had to do your top 10, who would you put in your list? Would you put some different players than I did? Obviously, there's all kinds to pick from that are tremendously talented hockey players, and we're going to be getting in with all kinds of these guys, talking about every team's prospect pools starting here in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that series. So if you're excited to see the prospect pools, give this video a like. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time.